Flipped classroom, the Crusades. The Crusades were a series of conflicts fought between 1095 and 1291 between Christians, also called Franks, and Muslims. The main object of contention was the city of Jerusalem and the custody of the holy places and the Holy Land. The First Crusade was called by Pope Urban II during the Council of Clermont in 1095, in which the Pope called on the faithful to travel to the Holy Land to liberate the places sacred to Christianity, which since 648 AD were occupied by Muslims. The call was answered by hundreds of thousands of men who set out with their families in the direction of Jerusalem. This large movement was preceded by another smaller movement headed by a certain Peter the Hermit, but upon reaching Turkey, the movement was defeated and dispersed by the Turks. The First Crusade was commanded by Godfrey of Bouillon and his brother Baldwin. The leaders of the expedition included two Norman nobles, Tancred and Bohemond of Taranto. During the expedition, the Crusaders conquered several cities, such as Edessa and Antioch. Through these conquests, the Crusaders founded the first of a series of Crusader states. Geoffrey conquered Jerusalem in 1099, and after the victory at the Battle of Ascalon, the First Crusade could be said to have ended with the victory of the Latins. It should be remembered that the Crusader states was Principality of Antioch, the County of Edessa, the County of Tripoli, and the Kingdom of Jerusalem. In 1144, the Christian kingdoms of the East began to crumble, so the County of Edessa was conquered by Seleucid Turks. Following this loss, the Christians organized a second crusade, in which King Louis VII of France and Conrad III of Germany participated, but the crusade, which had as its target the conquest of it, diverted to Damascus to no avail. In 1187, the Muslims conquered Jerusalem with Saladin. Christians, greatly affected by this event, organized a third crusade, also called the Crusade of Kings, in which the King of France in Philip Augustus and King Richard V, the Lionheart of England, participated, while Emperor Frederick Barbarossa will not make it to the Holy Land, drowning in the Salal stream. This crusade ends with partial success. Christians have free access to the holy sites and retain the coastal cities of what remains of the Kingdom of Jerusalem, but Muslims retain Jerusalem. Two more crusades would be undertaken in the early 13th century, the fourth hijacking Constantinople, and the fifth in which the Crusaders set their sights on Egypt and conquered Damietta. The Sultan, impressed and upset by the loss of the city, goes so far as to offer the Crusaders the return of Jerusalem in exchange for the return of Damietta. The Crusaders are divided, and in the end rejection of the Sultan's proposal prevails. The crusade will end in defeat for the Christians. The crusade will also pass history for the participation of Francis of Assisi, who will have a personal conversation with the Sultan of Egypt. The Sixth Crusade was the only one that was successful for the Crusaders after the first, and it ended without fighting thanks to an agreement between Sultan al-Kamil and Emperor Frederick II of Swabia, who through a diplomatic agreement was able to obtain from the Sultan the cession of Jerusalem, Bethlehem and Nazareth, an extraordinary achievement that no subsequent crusade could match. In March 1229, Frederick II had himself crowned King of Jerusalem. The emperor was excommunicated, as he had to cancel a previous crusade following the outbreak of an epidemic on ships carrying crusaders. Upon his return to Italy, Frederick II made peace with Pope Gregory IX, who was delighted with the emperor's feat. In 1244, however, Jerusalem was again lost. The Crusades of King Louis, grandfather of France, failed to retake the Holy City. The Seventh Crusade ended like the Fifth, with the conquest of Damietta, which gave the Christians the illusion that they could defeat the Sultan, but then succeeded in defeating the Crusaders. On this occasion, too, the Christians rejected a proposal for an exchange. The Sultan would give up Jerusalem in exchange for the Damietta, the exact same proposal that had been made during the Fifth Crusade. The last crusade was nipped in the bud in Tunis following the death of the King of France. In 1291, the last Christian city, Acre, fell at the hands of the Mamluk Sultan of Egypt. The event put an end to the Crusades. During the period of the Crusades, several monastic orders of chivalry sprang up. In particular, we recall the Templars, who were tasked with protecting the pilgrims arriving from the port of Jaffa to the Holy City and defending Jerusalem, and the Hospitallers, who were tasked with defending Jerusalem and providing relief to pilgrims inside the Holy City. Within the conquered territories, the Crusaders began to build several castles and fortresses in which the population produced everything in-house, precisely because it was very dangerous to leave the fortresses. At that time, one was often in danger of being attacked by enemies. Therefore, Crusader fortresses passed history for their advanced construction techniques that were necessary to defend themselves from the constant attacks of enemies.